So without further ado, let me pass the mic over to Ed Rosenthal.
Thank you, Steve.
Dirt or cocoa. I grow indoor, outdoor, on the moon, in space, wherever I can grow, really. I think growing is important, and I think everyone should grow as much as possible. You know, the more you grow, the less they're going to be able to arrest us. The cost is when you're doing indoor gardens, you have your electricity bills, of course. So what I decided to do this year was change something up and basically take an inside environment, but put it in a greenhouse. So I'm literally, right now, as you would say, I'm using the light deprivation period right now and taking the plants out. For those that don't understand, when the plant goes into flower, you change the light cycle to 12 and 12. Well, what you're able to do is literally veg your plants inside, okay? And if you can make an outside area covered in a greenhouse type of effect, you need to protect for the outside elements. But if you're able to do that, once you veg them to your desired height, you can literally take them outside and without any electricity at all, other than covering it and making sure it doesn't get below 60 degrees as far as temperature, your plants are going to auto-flower. So you just save yourself a whole bunch of money, and you're able to do it year-round. You just need to be able to understand, and I'm sure in this book right here, Ed probably goes over it more than once, about using the light outside. It's your best friend. It's the only way that you're going to be able to save, really, and if you will, for the overall cost, to be able to do it is unbelievable. So a greenhouse is definitely an advantage.
I would say when you get a pest, depending on what stage you're in, if you're in a vegetative state or if you're in a flower state, it's really important to understand. If you were to use a chemical or something that could hurt somebody, you don't want to use it when you have a fruit, if you will, a flower, i.e. on your plant. So it's really important. If you're in flower, I would say you could use like a neem oil or a fruit-based application that if you go to your local, probably like Home Depot or something like that, there's pesticides that you can put on for fruit or vegetable, edible, consumptible products. So you really need to make sure. As far as if you're in flower, the only thing that I've ever used in flower, because I don't want to hurt anyone, would be neem oil. I wouldn't put anything else on it. But if I was in vegetative state, I've used. I think you said you may have used pesticides like Perithian or something in that.
Well, most ways to start with, and that is, are you growing an indica, which is generally between 55 and 65 days. It could be as little as 50, depends on the strain and the genetics. Or are you growing a sativa? Now, a sativa can go anywhere from generally about 90 days upwards of 120 days. Depends on if it's a Thai, land-raised strain, and you just have to mess around with genetics. That's 20 years of growing to understand that there's strains that take that long to actually develop. Now, there's also, I guess I messed up when I first started, there's also autoflowers, ruderalis, lowrider, which are auto-flowering strains, which generally are from, correct me if I'm wrong, Ed, but they're generally from the Russian region where there's either a longer period of light or a shorter period of light, and that's why the plant has kind of took that characteristic. And then there's also hybrids, of course, and hybrids are two across of either sativa and indica, and that could vary on time differential. Now, when I'm looking at it, I'm looking for the pistils, the hairs. They turn an amber red color, and that's really an indication. Now, another thing is you could, get a microscope out, I guess, or an eyeglass, and you can see if the trichromes have developed. That's a little even past my advancedness. I just look for the red hairs, and generally speaking, I take the tops first, and I call it a second cropping. Generally, the bottom branches, if I have the time to do it indoors.
How big plants are you talking about?
Generally speaking, if I grow indoors, I'll grow anywhere from a sea green type 48 in a 4x8 tray, 2 lights, 5 pounds a tray.
How tall are the plants?
They're generally about 1.5 to 2 feet tall. If I grow for larger plants, which I go on buckets, 5-gallon buckets, I'll grow 10 plants under 2
two 1,000s and get 5 pounds under a 4x8. It's just all technique a lot on when you do it, but again, the question was, when do you take it? So when you take it really is when, for me, it's when it's red and the hairs are amber, and I know that it's done. And of course, I've been working with my strains now for 20 years. I know my smoke. It cost me about $350 for the whole cycle. Go ahead and try to do the same thing with your high freshers or your metal halides. It won't happen. And the reality of it is that LED lights are the future. There's still a lot that has to be done with it. I agree with you. But they're definitely, if you're just trying to grow for yourself in your house and you don't want to have to spend a bunch of money and do something crazy, grow with LED lights. You'll be really happy. But make sure, know the manufacturer. Make sure the manufacturer took the time to do the research with the bulbs, because so many people, say they have the cure. It's not that. So look around, look at what it is. But LED lights will be the future, you guys. They're going to change a lot of things and really probably rewrite growing in a lot of ways. Europe's been using them for about 15 years in a lot of their bedrooms. I know some of the biggest seed breeders in the world, from Arion, of the greenhouse, DNA Genetics, which now are here in America. A lot of those guys use LED lights to veg their seedlings and things like that. So, anyways.
Yeah, I'm chilling with the Donald Trump. I'm from Ganja. Donald Blood Clot Trump. You hear me? I don't care what you guys call it, weed. Donald Trump of Ganja. Respect. It's up all night.